Good morning. And welcome to the Sunday morning service at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Laguna Beach. My name is Oakley Frost, and I will be serving as your Sunday service associate this morning. As our sermon topic this morning, our speaker, the Reverend Celia Young, has chosen spirituality versus religion, a very timely topic at this time of declining membership in traditional churches at the same time that many persons claim to be seeking spiritual values. I hope that you enjoyed our opening video this morning, Imagine, by John Lennon. You may have noted that he asked us to imagine there's no heaven, imagine there's no hell, imagine there's no religion. On the other hand, he does not ask us to imagine there's no spirituality. It's interesting to speculate as to what John Lennon would think if he were attending the service here this morning. Perhaps you may agree that he's already answered that question, that the song itself expresses very serious spiritual values. Our Zoom and audio-visual text today are Don West Jr., Pam Flodman, and Darius Garecki. Our music director is the talented Carol Cole. I would also like to acknowledge and thank both personally and on behalf of the congregation all those others who make these services and the work of this congregation possible, including our board and our worship committee, Paul Bogdan and Candy Strock, for preparing refreshments and otherwise making the building ready for us. And Paul, among other things, for overseeing rentals in the building and presiding over our Zoom at noon video meetings each Monday. Also, all of you who assist in helping us feed the homeless at the alternate sleeping location on Laguna Canyon Road each month. There are always more opportunities to work together and more to be done. So if you're looking out for a way to become more involved, please reach out. For any of you who are new to our community, please connect with us after the service if you would like to be added to our email list so that you can receive advance notices of each service and other upcoming events. Connecting with each other is the way in which we can build community as a strong base from which we can go out and make a difference in the world. Each Sunday, wherever there is a service held in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a chalice is lit. The flaming chalice is the only symbol of our faith. If you have joined us this morning on Zoom and have a chalice available, I invite you to light it as I light the chalice here at UUFLB. Our chalice lighting words are these: we gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Is there anyone here this morning, either in person or on Zoom, who has not previously introduced yourself and would like to tell us your name and where you are visiting us from? If so, please raise your hand. We would like to recognize you. Anyone on Zoom? Don, is there anyone on Zoom? Apparently not. Is there anyone here in the building that would like to? Yes.
Hi, Lisa. This is Charlie. We're just visiting today and checking everything out. Thank you so much for having us. We're local.
Well, delighted to have you. Welcome. Yes.
I'm Connie Price, and I'm a Unitarian in Indianapolis, Indiana. We have several churches. My church is the Unitarian Universalist Church of Indianapolis.
Well, welcome from Indianapolis. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Karen.
Well, we've got Universalists from all over. We've got the country pretty well represented. Welcome to all of you. Now is the opportunity for us here in the fellowship to rise and greet one another. Carol, would you play a little music?
Hello. Oh, hello. Thank you.
Everybody, sending hugs.
Here with us in the
I
building,
can't do it in person.
forward and light a candle
Cheated.
in recognition of whatever you are carrying in your heart as you join with us for worship today. At UUFLB, we are a welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, whomever you love, no matter your age or gender, your ancestral or ethnic background, your immigration status or political affiliation, whatever sincere questions you bring with you today, whatever brought you here this morning, we welcome you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and ethical beings. On the slide that Don will put up for us is information about upcoming services here at UUFLB. Now, I can't quite read that, so if somebody could. Well, it sounds like some very interesting and varied services coming up. I hope you can join us. Our guest speaker today is the Reverend Celia Young. As most or all of us know, Reverend Celia has been our guest speaker several times recently, and we are delighted that she has agreed to lead our Sunday services here at UUFLB a number of times throughout the coming year. Reverend Celia has agreed to stay after the service this morning for a few minutes for further discussion and to answer any questions. Reverend Celia.
Good morning. I'm going to give you a little poem, 14th century Kashmir poet Jaldad. I was passionate, filled with longing. I searched far and wide, but the day that the truthful one found me, I was at home. So let us find the divine at home in ourselves. Come and let us worship together.
Please stand if you wish and join with us as we sing hymn number 347 in the Black Hymnal, Gather the Spirit. For those of you who are joining us by Zoom, the words will also be on the screen.
Gather the spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, our body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit growing in awe, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
Now is the time for our unison affirmation. Let us take a moment to remind ourselves why we come together as a community. I invite you to read these words together when and if it feels right for you. If you're on Zoom, please unmute your microphone so that we can feel the power when we join our voices together. The words of the unison affirmation are on the screens. Please join me in reading. Love
Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
share the important events that have touched our lives over the past week. Our joys, when shared, are magnified. And in sharing our sorrows, we provide the support and care that are vital for all of us in community. During this time of sharing our joys and sorrows, we will pause the recording of the service. Work at justice in Fortune 500 corporations and nonprofit organizations around the world. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Celia back to our fellowship today. Reverend Celia.
This morning's reading is by Savita Tayaji. It's a Hindi Indian American poet. The title is Religion and Spirituality. Spirituality is soul and religion its body. Dividing them is like snatching soul away from body. Soul experience universe through senses and the mind and body's interaction with it. How a person expresses spirit experience become his religion. One's true religion is its own understanding of inner working of the self, as well as its understanding of universe. How the two gets united in one's mind is what gets expressed as one's religion. Impressions are collected and ways from family, society are followed since childhood. But a time comes when questions arise and each one of us will search and seek and learn the truth in its own way. We search and seek the path that descends inward, and we search and seek the ways that branch out in universe. We would be in unison with others, or we may clash vehemently among ourselves in trying to justify our ways as the only way. There would be always many, many paths to follow as there are humans on earth. One powerful voice may influence many to create 1 million followers, but none can hold on individual voice hostage or block his own calling to search and find its own way. Now, before we do our brief meditation, I'd like to share one more poem by Sarah Teasdale. She's a poet born in 1884 and died in 1933. The title of this poem is Barter. Life has loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things, blue waves whitened on a cliff, soaring fire that sways and sings, and children's face looking up, holding wonder like a cup. Life has loveliness to sell, music like the curve of gold, scent of pine trees in the rain, eyes that love you, arms that hold, and for your spirits still delight, holy spirits that star the night. Spend all you have for loveliness, buy it, and never count the cost. For one white singing hour of peace, count many years of strife well lost, and for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have been or could be. Please now lower your eyes, find both your feet on the floor. Relax your shoulders and jaws. Engage in a short time of silent meditation. Take a deep breath. Let it go. What about your lives that are precious enough to barter? What is the essence of your beauty and loveliness that you can offer? Thank you. This morning's topic, spirituality versus religion, has been debated and analyzed for many years now. So I thought I would explore it a bit. However, since I am not a scholar, I can only use my layman's lens to look into this topic. Human species have existed and had a way of life on Earth long before religions were ever created. So, how have we survived for millions of years? Was there a set of moral compass we followed? In the book, Just Babies, The Origin of Good and Evil, Yale psychologist Paul Bloom argued that morality is not just something that people learned. It's something we're all born with. At birth, babies are endowed with compassion and empathy with the beginning of a sense of fairness. It is from these beginnings, he wrote, that adults develop their sense of right and wrong and their desire to do good, and at times their capacity to do terrible things. Bloom continues to write, the earliest signs are glimmerings of empathy and compassion, pain and the pain of others, which you can see pretty soon after birth. Once they are capable of coordinating a movement, babies will often try to soothe others who are suffering by patting or stroking. Young children share a list of moral principles, including an understanding of helping is morally good, and harming, hindering, and otherwise thwarting the goals of another person is morally bad. A rudimentary sense of justice and understanding that good guys should be rewarded and bad guys should be punished. An initial sense of fairness, in particular, that there should be an equal division of resources. Alongside with these principles are moral emotions such as empathy. So if we're born with a set of moral principles, all the environment, including our parents, teachers, and other adults need to do is to continue to cultivate them in their children. Why would we need religion? In the meantime, along the way, some great ancient philosophers offer their teachings to help us further develop into ethical human beings. The three great Greek philosophers, including Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates, have a hard time saying the name, taught us to continue to examine our lives and to use reasoning and critical thinking to pursue our intellectual and moral growth. Confucius taught us respect, humanness, integrity, and righteousness. Lao Tzu taught the law of nature, and Buddha taught us wisdom, generosity, and patience. All of them taught us compassion, kindness, empathy, peace, harmony, ethics, morality, and happiness. Influenced by these philosophies, many religions were invented to harness these moral principles, explain our feelings and experience, and offer solutions to our problems. I had to assume that they intended to continue to help human beings live a more moral and ethical life. In ancient times, monastics in the West and the East dropped out of the world and practiced total devotion to the divine. They follow a strict rule of prayers and chants. This may seem rote and rigid. By doing it thousands of times, something happened to their mind, body, and emotions. They became one with the Spirit by totally embodying the love and the connection to the divine. At least that's what the practice calls for. The Sufi dervishes dancers, by whirling around and around, often reach ecstasy. There is a deep connection between the men and the spirit they're dancing to express. The total devotion is what religious practice in ancient times was all about. This practice requires total trust and obedience in the authoritative teaching and committing to chastity, poverty, and prayer, even without hearing a response from God. The monastic can do that because they don't have to worry about the price of the eggs. Or like the old Chinese saying, ordinary men often had to bend down for a mere bushel of rice. And they don't really have time, cannot afford to commune with the Spirit. In ancient times, churches and temples served as a center of ordinary people's lives by offering guidance on communal connections that the monastic often have experienced. They serve as pillars that remind people what's important, that is devotion on moral ground, to support their material lives. But this gathering and our submission to the divine must always be given freely. It cannot be forced. Otherwise, our practices are meaningless, even dangerously oppressive. Remember, in Savita Tayaji's poem, she wrote, "Spirituality is the soul, religion is the body. Each of us embodies our soul in our own ways as our own unique religion." 2020 Gallup poll showed that Americans' membership in major houses of worship continued to decline, dropping below 50% for the first time in the Gallup's 8-decade trend. In 2020, only 47% of Americans said they belonged to a church, synagogue, or mosque, dropping down from 70% in 1999. It's a hell of a drop. What caused this decline? There are many reasons why people leave religion. According to Pew Research, most people have left the place of worship because they can no longer find themselves there. Many religious organizations went from being the center of ordinary people's lives to become the rule bearer and the moral authority. This religious doctrines was used to practice intolerance. Many people have been spoon-fed their religion since their childhood, without being given a chance to make their own decisions. Truth-seeking comes from ourselves, not blindly following others. Unfortunately, we humans have put some of the great teachers on the pedestal and surrendered our innate power to reason and inquiry for better understanding. Buddha said, "Follow my teaching, but not me." Some teachers have also gotten too comfortable sitting on their throne. This was when religion becomes shackles and tools of control. Many of us have suffered from religious wounding. How did religion go off course so far from the original teaching? Here are my theories. I'm sure you have yours. Religious organizations were built by men. Cultures existed before religions. For as long as human has history, our cultures have been dominated by men who established hierarchy of power. All the prophets, including Jesus, were change agents who were considered troublemakers. The teachings of love, compassion, and empathy were tools that would make an organization and society more egalitarian, but run contrary to the hierarchy that traditional cultures want to maintain. So they invented a punitive God to keep people in line. People follow the rules for fear of being punished by God. The decline of many religious institutions is attributed to their stopping to learn something new and locking themselves in their truth as if they are the only truth. When they practiced this rigidity on each other, they had put themselves in prison. Those who are lucky enough to become aware and choose to leave or break out of this prison will get a chance to heal their wounds and find their way back to their wholeness again. If religion is our body, according to Tayaji, we will have to rebuild our own body. I might have told you this story, but I will repeat it. When I was a teenager growing up in Taiwan, there was a period my mother would take me to a different place of worship every Sunday. This week, Baptist, next week, Catholic, following week, Taoist temple, and so on. Finally, I asked her, "What are we doing?" My mother said, "Honey, we're buying insurance. We cannot afford offend anybody's God." My mother was the most equal opportunity believer. This was how I was raised, to respect and learn from what is good in every religion. As an ordained interfaith chaplain, I have studied world religions extensively and concluded that all original teachings are about love, compassion, kindness, and justice, but we don't always practice them. Having a religion has become a badge or a privilege like membership. We divide the world into two camps, those who are with us and those not with us. We use our membership to judge, discriminate, and cast aside others. We forgot the original teachings. Maybe it is our cultures that had such a powerful hold over us. In the little book of Atheist Spirituality, this is really cool, this book. I found it like some old book, used book pile. French contemporary philosopher André Comte Sponville quoted Kant, another great ancient philosopher. If a person refrains from murdering the neighbor only out of fear of divine retribution, his behavior is dictated not by moral values, but by caution, fear of the holy policeman, egoism. And if a person does good only with an eye to salvation, she is not doing good, since her behavior is dictated by self-interest rather than by duty or by love, and will thus not be saved. A good deed is not good because God commanded me to do it. On the contrary, it is because an action is good that perhaps it and believe God has commanded it. Rather than religion being the basis of morals, morals are now the basis for religion. Conti Sponville also repeated a Jewish joke. Two rabbis and close friends are having dinner together. All night long, they discussed the existence of God and eventually concluded that God doesn't exist. In the morning, one rabbi looks everywhere in the house for his friend and finds him in the garden, absorbed in his ritual morning prayers. Surprised, he said, "Hey, we talked half the night and decided God didn't exist. Here you are saying your ritual morning prayers." The other rabbi replies, "What does God have anything to do with it?" The lesson here is fidelity is independent of religion. In the meantime, 70% of Americans said they're spiritual. 22% say they are spiritual but not religious. Many of them are younger and more progressive. This means most of us didn't abandon our spirit, but we no longer follow the traditional way of embodying this spirit. So now we need to know what it means to be spiritual but not religious. To me, spirit is an energy, like a river, that flows through us and connects us to the universe. It's much bigger than the individual being. 1 + 1 equals more than 2, like a chemical reaction. We are parts of this whole called the divine or God or greater power. It is in this connection that let us know that we are not alone. This power is inside of ourselves, and it is not an object or separate entity. To become our whole self is to honor the spirit that nourishes us from within. What is your definition of spirituality? I'm sure if I ask this question, 100 people will give you 100 answers. So, Pew Research showed that 72% of the spiritual but not religious folks said being connected to one's true self and cosmos is essential to being spiritual. Many want to find a higher power within themselves. And at the same time, they want to find connections to others and the humanity. They want to be kind, respectful, and mindful, and finding inner peace, purpose, meaning, and a sense of direction. We are back to what we already knew and have learned millions of years ago as our innate moral compass. These moral principles have not changed. Getting beyond the debate of spirituality or is this religion, if we want to live up to our wholeness, we need to remind ourselves to come home to this set of moral compass we already have. Reasoning, interconnection, compassion and love, empathy, peace and harmony, respect for human dignity, human rights, justice, sense of community, and social responsibilities. Our Unitarian Universalist 8 principles follow these compasses. The challenge is to remind us to practice them in our daily lives. One way is to practice being mindful. It means quiet down our busy mind and pay attention to our intention. Ask ourselves a few simple questions. Am I following these moral principles right now? If I don't, can I forgive myself for getting off track? Question 3, what is the smallest action step I can take now to get me back on track? Remember, having a religion is not wrong as long as it is yours. Namaste, shalom, amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Reverend Celia. You've certainly given us a lot to think about. Please stand if you are able and wish, and join us as we sing hymn number 123 in the black hymnal, Spirit of Life. For those of you who are joining us by Zoom, the words are on the screen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth. the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we are together again. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may become true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace.
My last word to you, go forth in simplicity. Find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. Welcome the strangers and open your heart to the world in need of healing. Be courageous before the force of hate. Hold and embody a vision of common good that serves the need of all people.
As I indicated earlier, Reverend Celia has agreed to stay for a while and answer any questions that we may have. So after we sing our closing song, please feel free to grab a cup of coffee and a donut and join us up front at the laptop computer where we can join with the people on Zoom. Now, let's form a circle and join together for our closing song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment, live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have a lovely day.